Hey, what's up all of you beautiful subscribers? Welcome back to the Chapple Show. So we are starting a new video series today called, Billionaire Investment Strategies. And so we're going to be talking about a bunch of billionaires, their investment strategies, their entrepreneurship tips, their success tips and mindset tips and so on. So I thought who better to start off with than the potentially richest man in the world, depending on what day you're viewing this video, Jeff Bezos. So Jeff Bezos, you guys know, founder of Amazon, worth $80-something billion. He started, Blue Origin, the space company, bought out Whole Foods, bought out the Washington Post, bought out Zappos. He's an investor in Twitter, Airbnb, Google. He's one of the richest people on the planet for a reason. So we're going to talk about some of his strategies and kind of how he got there and what his, just what some of his tips are. So let's start off with number one. This is something, actually, it's kind of funny because, I've been thinking about, some of these videos, some of these billionaires that I'm going to talk about here. And, Jeff Bezos, the first tip he always talks about is think long term. But you'd be surprised the amount of billionaires I'm going to talk about in this series that actually don't care about long term investing whatsoever. So Jeff Bezos, the very first tip here is think long term. No matter what your investment is, no matter what business you are starting, whatever you are thinking about doing, always think long term. So I'm going to give you guys a few examples of this actually. So by thinking of long term, Jeff Bezos kind of has this example about how whatever the profit is in quarter 2 of 2017, or whatever the revenue is of quarter 1 of 2017, or quarter 3 of 2017, he says those numbers, that profit, that revenue was determined by work and decisions that were done in 2012 or 2013 or 2014. What do I mean by that? What does he mean by that? So whatever work he is doing today, he's not expecting it to pay dividends in the next month, in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, 12 months, and so on. Whatever he invests in, he's not expecting a good return even in the first 2 years after that investment. He's looking to invest, 3, 4, 5 plus years down the road. And so a good example of this is actually, a few examples was Amazon didn't turn a profit for years. And I used to rip on that all the time, even though I knew why they were doing it, just like Tesla, okay? So Amazon couldn't turn a profit. They actually lost a ton of money some years, billions of dollars. But why were they doing that? They were doing that because they had to lose money to grow and take up as much market share as possible so that they can be a lot more profitable in the future. So just for some perspective for you guys, even 3 years ago, Amazon wasn't profitable. They were losing billions of dollars. And today, obviously, those investments that they made in 2014 into the online retail marketplace, into that online e-commerce marketplace, that's paid dividends tenfold, whatever they're doing, 100-fold, 1,000-fold. And so whenever Jeff Bezos buys into anything, invests in anything, always think long term. And so this is seriously what kills a lot of investors. People want a quick return. They want a quick 30% return on their money within a few months. They want to go into penny stocks. They want to start a business and become $1 million company in the first year. It doesn't happen like that. I mean, again, I'm saying Jeff Bezos a lot. But when he started Amazon, it didn't really start turning into a multi-million-dollar revenue company until 3 or 4 years. He started it in 93, 94, and it finally IPO'd in 98. Somewhere around there. I mean, it takes years, and even that's a really quick escalation. I mean, usually building $1 million company or multi-million-dollar company, billion-dollar company, usually that takes at least a decade to do some of that stuff. And so always think long-term, whether you're investing, starting a company, whatever it may be. So we're going to talk about the second tip he has. So this is more for entrepreneurship here, and this is customer first. And so lately there's actually been some backlash about this, because people sell on Amazon to make money, and because there's so many sellers that are on Amazon, that's Amazon takes a fee every time a seller sells something on Amazon. And so they've been kind of actually mistreating a lot of the sellers recently in order to benefit the buyer a lot more. So in terms of refund policies, taking larger fees, quicker shipping with larger fees, and so on. So Amazon sellers are being upset, but however, they have enough sellers. There's always going to be sellers on Amazon. So they're going for customer first. They're trying to, decrease shipping to same-day shipping. They're trying to, make sure that customers can have a full refund under any circumstances. They're trying to find ways to make the customer as happy as possible, even if it's at the expense of sellers or the company itself or employees, whatever it may be. Always customer first. Who cares about everything else? Just make sure the customer is happy. They will come back, and it'll reward you in the long run. So that's one of his tips for entrepreneurship, customer first. So we're going to move on to number 3. Again, this is more of another entrepreneurship tip here, which is we know we're just going to call this execute. Execute. So he has this quote where it's something along the lines of, it's really, really easy to come up with a great idea. It's actually a lot easier than you think to come up with a great idea. It is a lot harder than you think to execute that idea. And boy, oh boy, do I know this right now. When I'm building my e-commerce marketplace right now. Boy, I mean, it is tough. Coding is really, really tough, and it's hard to execute a lot of this stuff. I mean, when you build a business of any kind, I mean, even for me, whatever, consulting, building YouTube, you know what? Here's something interesting to compare it to, is that when I started making YouTube videos, on this channel specifically, not my other channels, on this channel, I started uploading in like February of like 2016. And at the time, I was getting, whatever, a few hundred views a video, whatever it may be. I was trying to market the crap out of it, okay? And then, I wasn't really making any money from it. I couldn't really. And then what started to happen was that 3 or 4 months later, after I started making those videos, it took off. It took off really, really quickly. But in that 3 or 4 months, I never gave up on YouTube. I always kept, trying to upload new videos, new content, because I knew in the long run it would pay off. And I was executing on that. I didn't give up. I was executing. This kind of ties into all these things here. Usually, people have this great idea. Hey, I want to be a YouTuber. Hey, I want to start this business. Hey, I want to invest in this, but they never do it. And so whatever idea you have in your brain, go execute that, and don't just stop if you get discouraged. Keep going through it, because it may not pay dividends in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 months, 4 years in the case of Amazon. But if you do it properly, and you know what you're doing, it will pay off in the long run. All right, so execute. All right, and don't just sit on those ideas. Like, actually go out and do something about it. Don't just sit on your genius ideas. Okay, we're going to move on to number 4 here. So I would say we're going to call this passion. So, when people want to, we're relating to investing specifically here. I mean, this is something I always talk about how he calls this like hot passion. Don't go for the hot, passionate, thing that's kind of going around the news today. So those hot tech stocks, those hot stocks, those hot tips that you get on some business news sites, those you should invest in this, you should invest in that, in this specific stock, ignore those. Ignore them. Go with do your own research. Be passionate about whatever you're investing in or whatever business you are starting, and go towards that. Just ignore those hot, trendy things. Like people selling fidget spinners on Amazon. Sure, there was a handful of people that made millions of dollars from selling fidget spinners on Amazon. But by the time you heard about those people making millions, that opportunity for selling fidget spinners and making a ton of money, that's closed. So just do something you're willing to actually stick with in the long run too. So if you want to sell fidget spinners on Amazon for the next 20 years of your life, go do it. All right? But if you want to do something else, if you want to be an artist, if you want to be a sculptor, if you want to be, a salesman, you want to be a CEO of a tech company, you want to be an investor, a real estate agent, a broker, whatever you want to be, just go do that. It's a lot easier. If you're passionate about what you do and what you're investing in, then it'll probably increase your chances of being more successful. But I think the most important thing is that when you wake up and you're excited to do excited to work every single day, it makes your work a lot better. It makes you a lot more productive. And I mean, that's just good for building a business and just investing in general. So, I mean, I talk about real estate investing and stock market investing. I talk about a bunch of different kinds of investing. And the reason why I don't talk about other kinds of investing like cryptocurrencies too much or gold or commodities, because I don't really know much about them. I mean, I do know a little bit more than most people, but I don't know much about them. I don't really want to invest in them. I mean, I don't find that fun in any sort of way. And I think it's a little bit risky too. There's other reasons, but I'm more passionate about real estate and stock market investing. So that's what I talk about, and that's what I look into, and that's what I do. So we're going to move on here to, let's see here. We're going to, oh yeah, that's right. So you're going to fail more than you succeed. Now, in investing, this is bad. Unless you're doing penny stocks, then this kind of makes sense because you need one penny stock to really turn out, and then maybe you could have 3 or 4 fail. But in terms of building a business, Jeff Bezos said that he has made billions of dollars of failures that no one's ever heard about. But again, it goes back to that saying, you only have to be right once. I mean, so he's made many more failures. He said this in many interviews. He's failed way more than he succeeded in his life in terms of business investing. But guess what? You just need to be right once or a handful of times. That makes up for your 100 failures. I mean, me, I've had 17 business failures, 4 panned out, and I'm, living a much better life than almost anyone my age, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that, it's okay to fail. Just learn from them, move on, and realize going into your investing or entrepreneurship that you're going to fail more often than you succeed. And just learn from it and make sure your failures are quick and they're small and you get them over quickly. I said quickly already, so we're going to move on here after that. After my horrible grammar, we're going to move on to, we're going to say, never be, I don't know how to spell this word, but we're going to say complacent. He didn't use this word specifically here, but what this means is that when you are doing anything in life, you want to be the best at something, you want to make a ton of money, you want to start a business, you want to invest in this, realize that there are millions of people that are trying to kick your ass. And so when you start to find that success for the first time, like I remember me, when my goal was just to make 40 grand a year when I started, 40 grand a year being self-employed, and I would be happy. Now, it turns out 40 grand a year being self-employed was, at the time, was not as much money as I thought it was, so I had to keep growing, and I wasn't complacent, and I'm not complacent right now. I'm making a very good income right now for someone my age, but I'm not complacent. And so Jeff Bezos, I mean, he could have kept selling books on Amazon forever and been, a $50 million online book company. That could have been the case for him, but no, he realized that, someone else could copy the idea and do it better and do more stuff. So he wasn't complacent. He wasn't just sitting around thinking, you know what, I've become so successful, I should just, stay with this online bookstore company because no one's going to catch me. Right? So he kept expanding. He kept expanding into, selling DVDs and all that other stuff we talked about. DVDs, CDs, and then eventually it turned into everything, the everything store. That's what it's called. That's what the name of the book is called, right? So when you start to find success, realize that there are more people trying to kick your ass than you think. And so don't be complacent and keep growing and keep adapting. That's very important. So we're going to close this off with just a mindset tip here that he says, which is bet on yourself. There are certain people in this world where most successful people, the reason why they became successful is because they're betting on themselves. So what do I mean by that? I remember, you guys know I had a corporate job, and actually there's one specific example I'm going to give you guys here, which I haven't talked about in a video before. So I had a corporate job, at the time I was like 18 making, I could have made 50 grand a year full time at this job if I really wanted to. Getting paid whatever, $30 an hour, $25 an hour, whatever the hell it was. And so I remember that I quit that job and I started all of my own self-employment business, my own businesses. And I remember it was going well. And then a few months after I quit that corporate job and all my businesses were doing okay, I remember talking to someone. He was trying to get me in on being a part of his app and partnering with his app that he was launching. I was very interested. We had talks about this. So he said, oh, it looks like he said to me, you have a pretty good job there. This guy, by the way, multi-millionaire already, or millionaire at least already. I remember him telling me, you had a great job. Like, you're young, you could have climbed your way up, and you could have, had a good solid career. By the time of 27, you could have been making 100 grand a year, or even 30 years old. Why would you give that up? And I said, well, I was kind of betting on myself. And that's not the life I wanted to live to. There's a bunch of other reasons, but I wanted to bet on myself. And then he said, look, Jack, that is one of the most important things you can do when you are young. and this is something that most people realize, he told me this, is that the reason why I'm successful today is because I learned at a young age to bet on myself. To bet that if you were to go off on your own, you will become more successful than if you took that stable job. And remember he told me that, and it was something that really struck a chord. It was something that even motivated me, to keep going. He said that's one of the most important things you can do as an entrepreneur or even as an investor. Just bet on yourself. It's a little bit different for investing, but betting on yourself and trusting yourself too. Now, there are certain people out there, if you're watching this video, you should be betting on yourself and trusting yourself because you're actively out there seeking some sort of entrepreneurship motivation or investing strategies or business education. And so you're a part of this very small group of young people, 18 to 35 is most of you out there, 80% of you. You're part of this small group that is educating themselves, and I would be comfortable with you guys betting on yourself, and I would probably be investing in you guys if I could. Investing in you guys, because you guys are out there actively trying to learn to become successful and bet and just invest properly and seeking. That puts you ahead of 99% of people. Most people don't even bother educating themselves on how to achieve their dreams or how to invest money, how to save more, or how to advance in their career, how to start a business. People don't care. People don't even bother looking into it, and that's why most people fail. That's one of the biggest reasons why. So the fact that most of you watching this are watching this, it makes you one of the very small percentage of the population that should be betting on themselves whenever they can. All right. So I think that's going to wrap this video up here. So I think, what do you guys think of this? What do you guys think of this list here? The 7 big tips from Jeff Bezos. And let me know in the comments below if I missed anything, or what do you think of this? So anyways, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. You can check out my Wealth Accelerator program or my stock market program in the link below if you're interested in more talks similar to this, especially the Wealth Accelerator, 16 hours of content on there. So I'd like to thank you very much for watching. You're all very beautiful people, and I'll see you guys in the next video.